Hare Krishna, welcome everybody back to another session on the importance of reading Srila Prabhupada's books. My name is Krishna Prem Rupa Das, and on behalf of the ISKCON Ministry of Education, we're conducting these interviews with different senior devotees and leaders of our movement. And today we are very happy and honored to have with us His Grace Madhu Sevita Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Krishna Prema Rupa Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for taking your time for this. Madhu Sevita Prabhu, of course, he's a GBC member. He's also an initiating spiritual master. And Madhu Sevita Prabhu got to know Krishna consciousness in 73 in Nepal. And then also from the very beginning served in many different leadership positions as a temple commander in Mayapur, from 74 on, later on from 77 as a vice president in Calcutta temple. And from the beginning of the 80s, Prabhu went back to Italy, where he's originally from, served as temple president at Villaggio Hare Krishna, also got married with Alia Krishna, and has a son, Nitai Prasad Prabhu. And from 1992 on, Prabhu served as a GBC. Also served twice as a GBC chairman, and additionally twice, yeah, three times already. And those who know what it means, this is quite a task to be the GBC chairman. And also, in addition to all of this, Prabhu is also serving as a BBT trustee for the Southern European BBT. So books, Srila Prabhupada's books always have been played a very important role in Prabhu's life. So we're very happy to have you with us. You're from Italy, we mentioned, but you got to know the devotees in Nepal. Would you like to tell us a little bit how you came in touch with Krishna consciousness, and especially what was the first book that you read and how this book changed your life?
Thank you. Yes, it was in Nepal. You can understand well that one who is in Nepal in the early 70s is there because of a particular state of mind and approach to life. So I met the devotees there. I had met the devotees actually in London in 1969, but somehow or other he hadn't. They wanted to give me a magazine, but it's a long story. It didn't fructify at the time. So in Nepal in 73, I met these two sannyasis, and somehow or other we got in touch because of music. I was a musician, and one of them was also a famous musician in the 60s. So we stayed together, and I will spare you the details of how I joined and in which, particular circumstances. But I remember very clearly, it was getting cold then in Nepal, already September, October, November. And my English was like school English. I had studied, but it wasn't very good at all. But I remember seeing this book, The Nectar of Devotion, with the pink cover, the first edition, and with this beautiful Radha and Krishna and the picture of Prabhupada. And I was attracted to that book. So the first book I touched and I opened, I tried to read was The Nectar of Devotion. There was also Bhagavad Gita with that beautiful picture of Prabhupada that really helped me out. I really felt that these books were calling me, as a personal call. And in difficult situations, it wasn't easy there. I'm saying I want to give the details of how the temple was run. It was really a particular, very different kind of temple, if we could call it a temple. Anyhow, so So then these books were calling me, the pictures of Prabhupada, I would read, understand probably 3% or 5% or maybe 10%. But at one point, I read something about Vrindavan, and I had a strong desire to leave Nepal and go to Vrindavan, so they gave me permission, and that's how I really met, my friends Guru Das and Surabi and all the devotees that were there, So the books attracted me to go to Vrindavan. That's all I can say. I could say more, but it won't be, I don't know. I better not say what was going on in Nepal at the time. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Early 70s in India, Nepal, it was quite a different time. A lot of austerities the devotees had to take in these early days.
Yeah.
I found it interesting because you mentioned the books, resonated not necessarily at the first point on the intellectual level, but more in a kind of a more deeper spiritual. You mentioned the word was like a calling.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also say that Prabhupada Prabhupada himself said that he's present in his books.
Absolutely.
Would you like to share something on this? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the basic theme of books are the basis. Books are the basis, in my opinion, means that the relationship with Prabhupada is the basis. If you don't have a relationship with Prabhupada, how will you be a member of ISKCON? How will you develop your spiritual consciousness? How will you develop your Krishna consciousness and progress in spiritual life? So reading the books and becoming attached to the books is not a mechanical thing. It shouldn't be a mechanical thing. It's like one could read the books for Prabhupada's books for thousands of years and not become a devotee. It's possible, just like someone may chant Hare Krishna for millions of lives and not become a devotee. I don't want to say the name, but one of the devotees that, those sannyasis that preached to me, somehow or other, and he died, etc. He had become an impersonalist, and he was Prabhupada's secretary. Another Prabhupada secretary is still alive, I believe. And Prabhupada said he had become a snake or something. He became a Buddhist or something. And he knew Sanskrit very well, and he could read, and he could tell you and quote the books. But if you don't personally serve Prabhupada's instruction as his personality, as the individual Prabhupada, these are his books. His books are the person Prabhupada. If you are not in a spirit of service, then Krishna doesn't give you the dadami buddhi yogam tvam yanamama payantite. It doesn't give you the real intelligence, the realization. It doesn't give it. You may read 20 hours a day, but if the spirit is not serving and loving Prabhupada, is not humbly inquiring from him, and becoming attached to him, if you don't wish to become attached to Prabhupada and serve him eternally, then that intelligence, that realization in the heart doesn't become manifested. So yes, I was a stupid, hippie, obtuse, non-English speaking person, or rudimentary English speaking person. But somehow or other, I was, inspired to love Srila Prabhupada and his books, and that saved me. That's what I can say.
I think it's a very relevant point you're making, Prabhu, that the right attitude is very much required to actually access these books and to actually get the deeper understanding. Sometimes devotees struggle with finding that access to Srila Prabhupada's books. They have difficulties they find it, they're tired or they're, what would you say to devotees how they could increase their taste or their access to reading Srila Prabhupada's books? What could they do to find it?
Well, I can speak from my personal experience. I mean, I couldn't even read English almost, but I somehow or other I had the determination to go on and delve into it. I knew that these books, that Srila Prabhupada was the answer to all my questions and was the savior of my consciousness. It was the goal of my life. Understanding and serving was the goal of my life. If you have that conviction within the heart, even if sometimes it's tough, it's difficult, even if sometimes you are more superficial and some other times a little bit deeper, it's just like chanting. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pipatapta Rasanasya Narochikano. The nectar of instruction. Initially, chant Hare Krishna, it's bitter. We are not like the Goswamis. You sit down, please stop chanting or tie my tongue because he wants to go chanting 24 hours a day. It doesn't work like this. Sometimes you have to, beat your head with a stick and you always have to do it and chant your 16 rounds. Even in difficult times, even in times where the mind is distracted by this or that, you go on. Because you have a goal in mind. You want to reestablish your relationship, loving relationship with Prabhupada, with the acharyas in Krishna, with the devotees in Krishna. That's the goal. So you do that. Keep reading humbly and say, "I'm a fool. I'm not understanding this. Please help me to understand it." And the Dhammi Buddhi Yoga, Krishna within the heart, gives you the faculty or the facility to understand what Prabhupada is saying. Many times, many devotees say that when they are in difficulty, I need some help, Prabhupada help me, and open up a book and you get the answer, because in that moment, you are like Ajamil, you are struggling, you are in need, you are humble, and then Prabhupada speaks to you through the books.
So developing the right attitude and also understanding this is like a sadhana, just as we chant and then we improve over years with the mercy of Krishna. Similarly, reading is also a sadhana.
Yeah, you have to keep reading. It's a service. It's the reading service, just like you have pujari service, book distribution service. It's reading service. If you take it differently, this is now that I did my devotional service. Now I'm sitting down and like a jnani, I'm going through exegesis or of Srila Prabhupada's words, and I am, like the green brain, how do you say, the gray intelligentsia that has to go there and discern what is this or what is there, what is Shastra, what is, so if you have that attitude, then, Krishna will be more reluctant to give you that understanding and realization in the heart. You have to do it as a duty, as a service, as an improvement of your love for the acharyas, for Srila Prabhupada, all the acharyas and Krishna. That's the attitude. It's fundamental. Even when you don't want to do it, you do it, like you chant your rounds.
Now, we mentioned in the beginning that you also serve as a BBT trustee.
Yeah.
And you're doing that not just as a duty, but with all of your heart. We can see. And maybe you would like to just share a few words the importance of the BBT, because Prabhupada, founded ISKCON, Prabhupada founded the BI, Bhaktivedanta Institute, and Prabhupada founded the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. So that also shows the significance of the Srila Prabhupada's books. Would you like to? Sure.
Yeah. Prabhupada said the BBT is my heart. ISKCON is my body. the BBT is my heart. So, you know, all the body is important, but the heart is the heart. Pramanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadai Rida Yesu Vilokayanti. How could you be an ISKCON devotee without trying to serve the BBT? You know, how can you serve Srila Prabhupada's body but neglect his heart? Right? Can you love somebody, say, I love you, you embrace your body, I caress your head, I kiss your cheeks, whatever. Your heart, that I don't care. The heart can have it in a stroke, you know, for me. it's you know, well, it's the heart that keeps the body going. So, hadn't it been the BBT there producing Srila Prabhupada's books, devotees wouldn't have books. Devotees wouldn't have the relationship with Prabhupada. That's how important it is. You know, the relationship with Prabhupada is a relationship with the BBT, not only with ISKCON, but it must be a relationship with the BBT. Now, someone sees the BBT as just a business, an editorial, whatever, you know. Well, you know, Prabhupada set it up like that. He didn't want the books to be given free, also because, you know, it wouldn't be possible to reprint them. And he also tasked the BBT with the construction of temples. So he really, you know, the distribution of books and the BBT's proceedings are the cause for having always newer, you know, languages, books in newer languages, new temples. The TOVP also, you know, the BBT is helping funding. Mayapur was, you know, Vrindavan, you know, was coming through the distribution of books, you know. And so it is fundamental. And then there's a nice video of Prabhupada sitting in LA, that when he comes out when they ask him for some money, he comes out with his checkbook. He unwraps his checkbook and says, okay, you what? So Prabhupada was very organized in that sense. He didn't want a spontaneous, you know, oh, print this today. Oh, the money, throw it in a montgolfier, on a balloon, or do, you know. He organized the BBT, and this organization is spiritual, wanted by Prabhupada. So it should be respected in all aspects, the BBT, the production of books, but also its organization. I would say, love someone, love his art.
Mm. So when we speak of books are the basis, they are the basis for our, of course, in the sense that we get spiritually nourished by Prabhupada's words, but they also are the basis for ISKCON as the body that provides the literatures.
Yes. Yes. You know, without books, you wouldn't have book distribution, which is our family business, as our Vaisheshika Prabhu calls it, and Prabhupada called it, you know, repeating Prabhupada. And you wouldn't have temples. What will we do? Just cook some prasad and offer it to Krishna under a tree or something, and try to speculate on who is Krishna by discussing among ourselves? Without books, without temples, what do we do? Where is ISKCON without books and temples?
And Prabhu, you mentioned as an ISKCON member, we should serve the BBT. I mean, could you elaborate on that? Means distributing books or reading the books, just studying the books also?
Everything, but also buy BBT books and distribute BBT books. If someone else comes out, oh, I have this bridge book, how, you know, how, I don't know, tell me, you know, I live in Italy, you know, it talks about the Vatican and the Pope, and then it tells you how nice, and there is a connection with Krishna consciousness, and printed by such and such Prabhu, distribute that book. If it's not a BBT book, rest assured that it hasn't gone through the proper vetting, the proper channel for understanding whether is a writing that Prabhupada would approve. And if you go, but it costs less. But I make more money distributing this other book or buying it, because it's the I don't know, Goloka printing or whatever it is, but you are taking away blood from Srila Prabhupada's heart. And rest assured, if it's a good literature, the BBT will take it up and print it. But if it's not, if it's based on someone else's aspirations or plans or whatever, ideologies, etc., it may not only be useless but also be detrimental to ISKCON. So one should distribute Prabhupada's books, BBT books. That's all. BBT mostly 95% is takes Prabhupada's books. But there are also some other books, but they are always in service to Prabhupada. Oh, my Guru Maharaj, writes so nicely, the Pope. I don't want to be offensive to anyone, but, look how poetic he writes. So I'll distribute the books of my Guru Maharaj. No.
So for mass distribution in ISKCON, then we should rely on the BBT books. Yeah.
Yes, and you can take the books, but don't replace BBT books with something else.
But that Prabhupada's books remain in the center.
Yeah.
Now, in your service at the BBT, you also, for actually several years, have published several also quite big books. Like there was this, I think, Ramayan and others. But then recently you published actually a really big book, which was the Bhagavad Gita. The how did you call it? Adbhut or amazing, astonishing Bhagavad Gita?
Astounding
Astounding
Bhagavad Gita. Yeah.
Would you like to share about this and why you came up with this project and how it's connected to Books of the Basis?
Oh yeah, of course. You are trying to please me now, and I thank you very much for that. I mean, it's supposed to be the largest, Holy Scripture in the world. The largest. It weighs over 800 kg. The book itself, it's 2.83 meters, and the length, and then the width is 2 meters, and the stand weighs 2 tons. So altogether is 3 tons. Like a relative of mine said, it's not a book you can take in the evening on your bed and read, at leisure. So we undertook this. I don't know, this dream, and it was a dream in the beginning, for one purpose, actually, to make Prabhupada's books famous all over the world, and to increase book distribution, especially the distribution of the Bhagavad Gita. As of now, we installed it in 2019. As of now, there are many millions of people that went through to see it in Delhi. And when it was installed, for the second time in the history of ISKCON, the Prime Minister came and he unveiled the book with my humble self, and he offered Aratic to Srila Prabhupada's books. There were 700 million people watching, because it was the pre-election time, and and therefore, he came with an helicopter, then he took the subway, there were all these televisions following up Mr. Modi. And so they all saw, I don't know how many television sets were there, they all saw
Really amazing. The prime minister, the leader, is worshipping Prabhupada's.
Worshipping Prabhupada. And just recently, the coin also came out. And but at that time, he really offered an arctic. He offered the incense, he offered the lamp, he offered flowers, he bowed down to Prabhupada's Gita, which means to bow down to Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara. And that touched his heart very much. So yeah, it was an historical event, I have to say. 700 million people saw the thing. And still there, and their pilgrims, they go and see the temple, see the book, offer obeisances to Prabhupada, give and buy a Gita. So that was the thing. Thank you for asking. It was an enthusing time. It took us 2 years to make it. Yeah. Yes.
That's an amazing contribution, a really powerful preaching, of course, and also something to make us think. If the Prime Minister worships this book and so many millions of people watch it, then maybe we should also read it sometimes.
Okay. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada was very. He said that one should read the Bhagavad Gita 5 times, one after the other, continuously. Did you know that? He said 5 times, read it 5. And every time, I read it, it's always incredible. There is something that my obtuse intelligence hadn't picked up.
Yeah.
And because it's like speaking to Prabhupada. You go and speak to Srila Prabhupada. No, it's not that you can say, oh, he's going to say the same thing that he said yesterday. You know what I mean? Or, whenever we had the possibility to have the darshan of Srila Prabhupada, even though the concepts, the preaching was basically the same, was always fresh, was always new. Navayovana. Srila Prabhupada was like this. Sometimes I, don't judge me a sentimentalist. But sometimes when you read these books, sometimes even different, humors come out of it, You can, especially if you are in a particular situation, a particular portion of your life, section of your life, you read the same thing that you had read, 1 year ago, but, it comes in differently. It's just like Prabhupada saying something smiling or Prabhupada saying something in a severe, mood, and you get that if you are loving Prabhupada's books, if you are attached to him, because he comes through, he appears through them.
Yeah, I think we can understand Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission through reading his books better.
Yeah.
Maybe to wrap up this conversation, what do you think? How would ISKCON be a different ISKCON if all the members would actually read daily in Srila Prabhupada's books? How would that bring a change in our society? Or any other final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
Okay, I'll be frank here. Many of my good brothers have already gone, hopefully to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada back home. And those of us who are here will stay, who knows how long, not long. We are all in our 70s now, mostly. And there'll be other generations of Diksha and Shiksha gurus, spiritual master, and then other generations and other. But if we want this branch of the Chaitanya tree to go on and, make flowers and bear fruits, the preeminent, fundamental guru has to remain Srila Prabhupada, the preeminent Shiksha Guru, the fundamental Shiksha Guru, the founder Acharya, the founder and Acharya of all the future generations' devotees' spiritual life. It has to remain Prabhupada. Otherwise, it'll become an archipelagus, Oh, and different moods and different that. Oh, I take from my guru. I take from the guru, then the guru as a disciple, it becomes guru, The thing may becomes, lost in a bunch of rivulets. So in order to remain a really united, unity in diversity, of course, there'll be diversities, but the unity around the founder Acharya has to be the predominant factor. In order for that to be so, devotees have to read Prabhupada's books. They have to develop a relationship with Prabhupada. It's not that 100 years from now or 200 years from now, the main books will be other books, or there will be books that are on the same level of Prabhupada's books. That shouldn't happen. Should not happen. Because if that happens, that means that, will I become like, different islands, maybe with some bridges, but islands. And we don't want, we want a full continent of ISKCON, Krishna consciousness, the whole earth actually as one piece. So that's my answer. If we want to satisfy Lord Chaitanya's desire and the Acharya's desire and Srila Prabhupada's desire, which are identical, you read his books and keep the unity of ISKCON. That's my answer.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for reminding us of the importance of really keeping Prabhupada in the center. And that also means to read Srila Prabhupada's books.
They're identical. Read them with love and attachment to Prabhupada. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope I haven't offended anyone or ruffled anyone. Sika? Okay.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare